welcome back to the CoDaKrew podcast. Swapno can't be here today, but last time we promised you a World Cup qualifiers video, and we are going to give you that video. 12 countries left, 6 remaining World Cup spots available, and you better buckle up, because we are about to see absolute cinema on Tuesday. Starting with the 4 UEFA spots remaining, we have in Path A, Italy, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Starting with Bosnia and Herzegovina, they have Edin Dzeko at the age of 40, somehow still balling out at both the national team and club level. 6 goals World Cup qualifying, 9 goal contributions in his 8 games so far at Schalke, and they also have an 18-year-old wonder kid in Karim Albeglovic, who not only got the assist in their win against Wales, but scored the game-winning penalty in that penalty shootout. He will be critical if they want to break down Italy's defense, especially in those 1v1 duels against Politano, who I think is a weakness on that Italian starting 11. Bosnia, also I consider, are the home side, and they are coming in this with experience and with confidence. Against Wales, they survived an absolute barrage of attacks before Dzeko's late equalizer, and with that resilience at Cardiff, you can only imagine how strong they're going to be when they have the home crowd on their side. And another strength for them is that Italy's defense is clearly a weakness. Remember, in World Cup qualifying, they conceded 4 goals in their own stadium to both Norway and Israel. That is not a good look at all, especially for this Italian side, which at least historically speaking is known for their defensive ability, for being a very tough team to get past, but clearly not anymore. Against that Northern Ireland side, I think we still see the ghosts of an Italian team who has struggled to qualify for the World Cup now since 2014. That is 12 years that they haven't made it, and they're still very much in danger now. They dominated on paper against Northern Ireland, just like they so often do in these World Cup playoff qualifiers, but they just were not convincing at all. In the first half, could not do very much with their chances, and in the second half, they got a lot of chances, but they weren't all that great clinicality-wise. Obviously, Matteo Retegui missed an absolute sitter early on in the second half. And I think if there were ever an exemplar why if you want to be an elite side, you cannot be picking Saudi Pro League players in your starting 11, Matteo Retegui just showed that, made it crystal clear. I don't know if Gattuso just didn't get the memo or something, but he has to do so ahead of this match against Bosnia. Also, we didn't really see this Italian side, I think, play as a team very well either. They obviously do end up getting the win, but it was not a coherent team effort at all. I mean, fundamentally, this was a pure brilliance, individual quality by Sandro Tonali that pushed Italy through. And against this Bosnian side, I don't know if it's going to be enough. And so, look, before the start of the Path A Intercontinental, the Path A UEFA playoffs, rather, I think Italy expected that they were going to be playing Wales. I thought they were going to be playing Wales myself. And I don't know if you saw this, but we have clips of the Italian players celebrating the fact that they're going to get Bosnia and Herzegovina instead, which is just absolutely downright disrespectful. Imagine the karma of celebrating that your opponent is going to be Bosnia and Herzegovina, and then losing away from home to a 40-year-old Edin Dzeko, finally in his last hurrah for this Bosnian team. 12 years after the last time they qualified for a World Cup, for his parting gift, getting this team into that competition. 4 years after, the team that just beat Wales did the same thing vis-a-vis with Gareth Bale. Unfortunately, though, I think I'm going to have to go with Italy here. Their midfield control, I think, is going to be too much for this Bosnia side. And like I said before, they have the individual brilliance. But I do think it will be nervy. I will absolutely hate watching this Italian side because I am Canadian. I do not want to face them in the group stages. Unfortunately, though, I think I can't really see them losing this. I'm going to have them getting a uncomfortable but relatively solid 2-0 win. Alright, next up, Path B. We have a Swedish side, which, let's be honest, really should not be here, with how horrendous they were in World qualifying. And a Poland side, which, while they still have quality on paper, I think is a far cry from the peak that we saw in this Poland side maybe 5-10 years ago. Sweden, they are missing several key players. No Dejan Kulusevski, no Lucas Bergvall, no Alexander Isak. And while they had all those players missing, they still have a lot of talent on the squad. Anthony Elanga, not a very good game against Ukraine, but Victor Gyökeres, I think, showed in this match that he is still a world-class striker. At Arsenal, he hasn't been great if you're just looking at the goals and assist tally. And I've made this point many times before, but he has an integral part to play on this team, and he showed that if you feed him the ball, if you play through him, which Arsenal just have not done at all this season, he is still deadly. The other concern for Sweden is that they are missing some guys in the middle. Like I said, 2 key injuries there. Goodmanson also getting injured against Ukraine late on in that match. And you're going to be more reliant on Ayari now, who has neither had a great season at right, to be completely honest, nor did he look all that good against Ukraine in this match, at least in my opinion. On to Poland, though, also a lot of questions about this team. And the biggest question is their offense, right? Because other than that 37-year-old Robert Lewandowski, who I also think has regressed quite a bit this season, they don't have really anything going for themselves offensively. And just like a lot of these other teams who maybe should be in the World Cup by on paper, by the quality that they have, I think Poland are also another one of those teams which has not really translated their quality into a coherent tactical identity. Because there's no real national cohesiveness going on for this team right now. The only reason that they're even still here, the only reason that they beat Albania is kind of like Italy, just through individual brilliance, right? It was just through, Lewandowski being who he is, Zielinski. I don't know if against this much stronger Swedish side, that will be enough. And combined with the fact that this game is going to be at Stockholm, that's why I have Sweden winning this relatively comfortably. I'm going to say 3-1, because Sweden, again, through Victor Gyökeres, even if Elanga continues to be a bit questionable, I at least see a very clear strategy there, whereas I just don't see it at all on this Polish national. Next up, I think the most interesting matchup we have in UEFA, it is the Path C matchup, Kosovo against Turkiye. Turkiye should win this, just on paper. The offense, the midfielders, Arda Güler, Kenan Yildiz, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Beres Yilmaz, the names on this Turkey squad they're absolutely brilliant. And against that Romanian low block, I would say Turkey actually has much more of a tackle identity than a lot of these other clubs, or I should say national teams that we've talked about. But against Romania really bunkered down. They made it a very tough match, but it was ultimately Turkey's quality. And again, it's this individual brilliance factor that wins them this match. Just Hakan Çalhanoğlu and Arda Güler. But like I said, all those other players as well on that Turkey national team, they can, on any given match, turn up. The biggest relative weakness, though, which wasn't really so much of a factor against this Romania side, is their defending, right? I think there are a lot of question marks there. Also consider that the goalkeeper Bayındır does not really get minutes at club level at Manchester United. And there's one more issue that goes even beyond the players or the tactics for this Turkey national side. And it is that they have a reputation, and it's not good. When there are expectations for this Turkey side, at least in this generation, they have consistently choked. Euro 2020, they were a dark horse, and they completely flopped. Because of this, in Euro 2024, the lights were off them. They were not really anticipated to do as well, and then they very convincingly made it to the quarterfinals, only getting knocked out once they played, I believe, the eventual winner, Spain. So now the pressure is back on. Against Kosovo, they are obviously, the side that is expected to win on paper. They are the heavy odds makers' favorite. But now they're playing with the pressure on again. They haven't proven it yet, and they're going to be playing at hostile territory in Kosovo. We know the heart this Kosovo side has as well. They came back from 2-1 down in hostile territory themselves to make it here, and they showed how clutch they can be in that chaotic 7-goal thriller against Slovakia. A match like that, it goes beyond tactics, really. It's just about whether or not you can clutch up, really, in those all-important situations. And we have to count a lot more than just quality for this Kosovo side. I think they are highly overlooked in terms of talent, right? They have for example, Muriqi. He is the second top goal scorer in La Liga, only behind Kylian Mbappe, with 17 goals already this season. Poveda. He has been cooking as a right wing back for a Como side who is quietly making a very solid push for UCL qualification in Syria. And they've put it together. They have a ton of firepower in a World Cup qualifying group from hell. They finished with 11 points. They were in a group with Switzerland, Sweden, and Slovenia. That is a very, very tough group, and they've showed out. Muriqi, for his part, by the way, did not get a direct goal contribution in that 7-goal thriller against Slovakia, but he's the kind of complete striker with a box-to-box presence, physicality, link-up play. Really, he's my type of striker. He is sort of like a Victor Osimhen type of profile in terms of completeness, and there are not really a lot of strikers these days at the top level that have this sort of profile. So, as you might be able to tell from the way I'm talking about these two teams, I respect Turkey a hell of a lot. In fact, in my World Cup very early predictions video, right when the group stages came out, I said, if Turkey qualify for the World Cup, I think they can make the quarterfinal. But this Kosovo side, this story, I mean, they've never been to the World Cup since they became an independent nation. They have all the psychological advantage you could possibly ask for right now, and they are just so overlooked. It feels like outside of the real diehards that are watching these international breaks, nobody is rating this Kosovo side, and it's criminal. So I'm going to say Kosovo shocked the world. They qualified for the first time to the World Cup with a 2-1 upset at their home stadium. Finally, in UEFA, we have our Path D matchup, and that is Czechia at home facing off against Denmark. And Denmark is another one of those sides where their defense is their biggest concern. But this time, it's not their fault at all. The issue is both Christensens are injured, Patrick Dorgu's out, and Joachim Andersen was suspended in that first match. It got so bad that Denmark had to play Christian Norgard, and with all due respect to Christian Norgard, they had to play Christian Norgard as a center back. He's a solid player, but he's just not a center back. The attack, though, very strong. It's what carried them through. Mikkel Damsgaard often plays as essentially as a number 10 for Brentford, but a winger for Denmark. He was great. Højlund, for all the memes he gets, pretty solid player at the national team level, and he's excellent. They've been balling out for Denmark, and although North Macedonia are maybe not the strongest of teams in this continent, you have to give Denmark some amount of credit for taking care of business as convincingly as they did. I mean, you can't overlook this North Macedonia side. They did, after all, knock out Italy 4 years ago with that last-minute screamer. So you have to give some respect to Denmark here. And I would just say, like, even a few years ago, I would not have trusted this Denmark to play as convincingly as they did here. Like, there was a long period of time where there were a lot of question marks about the Danish attack. And I don't want to say that they solved those completely, but I would say they look a lot more solid now. Then we have Czechia. They, in a absolutely cinematic match against Ireland, somehow managed to come back from 2-0 down. And just quickly on Ireland, Troy Parrott's carry has been generational. I think everybody knows about the story of Troy Parrott by now. And it looked like it was going to be another masterclass from him, as Ireland, I think, by the 23rd or 25th minute, are 2-0 up. But Czechia have that quality, man. Patrick Schick, Krejci playing at Wolverhampton, Thomas Souček coming back from injury, getting subbed on in the second half. Those X factors got Czechia back in that game, and it made them tie it up 2-2 coming into extra time, and it allowed them to win a nervy penalty shootout. That, by the way, that match being played, I believe, in Ireland. Now they're going to be at home, and they're going to want to play a little bit more cautious than they did against Ireland. They're going to want to sit back. They're going to want to soak up as much pressure as possible. And the longer they just stay alive against Denmark, possibly, leading it to a late goal, or even another penalty shootout, the better for them. And like I said, with the way Denmark has played for the last few years, there is a possibility that the strategy can work. But I just can't discount that. I mean, against Ireland, I think Czechia really played sloppy on the ball at the time. I don't want to completely discount their comeback, but I do think part of it was Ireland capitulating to some extent. And I think Denmark have both the quality and the confidence coming into this match to take better advantage of that sloppiness in possession for Czechia. So I'm going to give Denmark a solid 2-0 win. But those are just the UEFA qualifiers. We still got two more. We have Intercontinentals. And for the first Intercontinental matchup, we have DR Congo up against Jamaica. And I'm going to get started with my very own confederation's Jamaica. The dark spot on our continent, to be completely honest. Because for those who don't know about this Jamaican national team, they have talent. They have names. But they just never pull it together on the national team. They are serial chokers. For those who were not watching the World Cup qualifiers at CONCACAF, they had, on the last match day, a must-win match against Curacao. They had to win it 0-0 at halftime, and in the second half, it must have been 3 or 4 separate times where they hit the post. They scored one of those chances during the World Cup, but now Curaçao's in instead. And in the match to get here, they played New Caledonia. With all due respect to the 2 people who live in New Caledonia, with all due respect to the population of New Caledonia, which was basically just the 11 players that they fielded on the damn pitch that day, there's no reason why Jamaica should only be beating them by 1 goal. There's just no excuse. They dropped down to New Caledonian's level, they kept New Caledonia in the game, and they just did not look convincing at all. I mean, if New Caledonia had any quality whatsoever, they could have used the possession they had in that match and potentially scored or even have won that match. And about DR Congo, on the other hand, they're here through that one playoff spot that the African continent has. For those who have forgotten, they won that iconic penalty shootout against a fraudulent Nigeria squad. And this DR Congo side looks a hell of a lot more confident, complete, and composed than Jamaica. Look at their offense. Yuan Wissa, he has had a bad season, obviously, at Newcastle, but he's been very good for the national team. 3 goals, 3 assists in World Cup qualifying. You also have to look at their backline. Very, very strong. Mbwema, Twanzebe, Erdogan Basaga. They are a very, very tough team to break down. And just for some context, at that last AFCON, they only conceded 2 goals all tournament. Granted, they did get knocked out in the round of 16. But the first goal in the group stages was against the eventual winners, Senegal. I know Senegal have been stripped of that title, but I am never going to acknowledge that Morocco won it. I'm always going to say Senegal are the AFCON champions. So they conceded 1 goal to the AFCON champions, and that was the only goal that they conceded in the group stage. Then, in the round of 16, a last-minute screamer in the 119th minute got them knocked out by Algeria. Nothing you can really do there. So, all this to say, DR Congo are a very defensively solid side. And when you compare that DR Congo defense to Jamaica's very, very questionable offense, I just do not see how Jamaica can score in this match. And DR Congo are not really a team that blows other teams out. They're not used to winning, 3-0, 4-0 against everyone they play. But I think this Jamaica side is so bad, they'll do it here. They haven't been to the World Cup in 50 years, DR Congo. They have a point to prove, and I think that they're going to show the world that they are ready. They're going to get a statement 3-0 win here. And finally, we have Iraq, who I feel like they've had... The thing with Iraq, right? They haven't been in the World Cup since, to be honest, I don't even know when. They should be here by now. They really should. They have the quality, but they're not at the Jamaica level yet, where they've choked to the point where I just sort of associate them with that identity. But if they don't win this match, I think they might be getting there. Because look at the squad, right? Ayman Hussein, incredible for the national team offensively. Midfield, led by captain Jalal Hassan. They should absolutely control possession in this match. But for whatever reason, they have really struggled, especially recently, to turn attacks into chances, into goals. I think at the start of qualifying, they were looking very deadly. But their offense has gotten worse and worse and worse. It has fallen off a cliff in the last few months. And they're going to need to take advantage of their chances in these sort of low-scoring, low-chance, very scrappy matches, which the Intercontinental playoffs have tended to be historically. This Bolivia side, in the meantime, also I have a lot of questions about them. I would say, if Stanley Menzo were still the manager of Suriname, Bolivia would not be in this match. Because for those who are not aware of Suriname, I'm just going to talk about them real quick because they are also from my continent. They're a team who are very defensively solid. they can score one goal because they have quality offense. You know, Geronimo Kirk, Sheraldo Becker, Joe Pyrrell, even the Leeds United player on this Surinamese national team. And usually, once they go up 1-0, they can park the bus. And unless you have a very strong offense, you're not scoring against them. And as soon as they scored that first goal, I thought that was how the game was going to go. But I don't know if it's because of the new manager. I don't know if it's because they haven't really relearned the new tactical system. But somehow, some way, they let their 1-goal lead slip against this Bolivia side. And it's not a very strong Bolivia side at all. In World Cup qualifying, they were amazing. They were amazing at home. They are altitude merchants. They play like fucking 4,000 feet in the air every home match. And they just, literally speaking, not figuratively, literally choke out their opponents through the altitude and win those matches. But away from home, I mean, look at the last Copa America, for example. This team is absolutely dreadful. They have some solid players, you know, Miguelito has done relatively well for the national team, but they just have not shown it for me outside of their home stadium. So it's two teams coming into this match who I think both teams are going to feel like they have a chance just because of the weaknesses of the opponent. But in a match like this, it's a very, very tough call, but I'm going to have to go with the quality here. And the quality clearly says that Iraq is the better national team. Plus, they literally brought in a new manager, Graham Arnold, for moments like these, to gain scrappiness, to gain composure, to win these low-scoring games. And so, I'm not very confident about this prediction at all, but I'm going to say that it's 1-1 after 90 minutes, and Iraq wins in extra time, 2-1. So, there you have it. Those are my 6 teams, the last 6 teams qualifying for the World Cup, for me at least. And, I mean, I feel like I've made it very clear. A lot of these matches are very 50-50. So, even if you're not a regular international football watcher, I would just say, this Tuesday, this one time, lock in. It's going to be absolute chaos. It's going to be absolute carnage. I'm going to be love watching Kosovo. I'm going to be hate watching Italy. Just figure it out. Just get to it. Just this one time. I promise you it is going to be so worth it. And yeah, if you want to see more from us, we cover international football. We cover the Premier League. I'm going to probably talk a little bit about the CONCACAF teams as well. Canada, USA, Mexico, who I'll just say as of the time of recording, hell look pretty terrible, I guess, besides Mexico, in this international break. But yeah, if you want to see more from us, like, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And see ya.